Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So I know it's been a while since I posted a video, so I thought I'd do something a little different and festive. So today I'm going to be doing the advent of code problems. So I've never actually done them before, and this is my first time doing it, but I've heard great things about it, so I guess without further ado, let's just jump right in. Alright, so we are now switched over to the streaming setup. And the best part about doing this whole advent of code thing is that we can do it asynchronously all together. So what I'm going to do is read through the problem here, and feel free to pause and take a few seconds or minutes to read through the problem yourself, and then we can go through implementing it together, or you can just see the way I did it, I guess. So I'm gonna fast forward around here at some point. Alright, so I'm just gonna go through my understanding of the problem after reading through it and processing everything. So it looks like we basically get an array of unsorted numbers, and what we're trying to do is see how many numbers how many numbers are greater than the previous number. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to move my advent of code window over here and we can get started. So I've already kind of set up my environment just to have everything ready for all of y'all. So we have all the inputs here, and I just made like this template of, which I should actually clone. All right, so day one, let me just break down how I'm planning to solve this actually. So our goal is the number of times a depth or a number increases from the previous. So times the depth increases. Depth has increased / is larger than the previous. So essentially what we want to do is like loop through the numbers, and as we loop through them we want to say, okay, is it larger than the previous one? So we could just have a sample here, which is just exactly what's in the problem. So this is expected to give I believe it was 7, yes, give 7. All right, so the next thing we want to do is, so step 1, loop through array. Check if current is greater than previous. Increment. If so, we increment like this count thing. All right, so the best way we can do this is probably just loop through the array itself, and keeping track of the indexes, and we just, until we reach the end, we just check whether the current index is greater than the previous. So we can do this with a while loop as well, because we don't really need to keep track of the first number, we just need the last one. So let's initialize the counts. 1. So, and it looks like this input is like really long, so we don't need to check the case whether it's like a certain length, but in a programming exercise or interview, please do. So while current depth index is less than length depths, and actually let's just rename this to depths. We want to do check if the current is greater than current depth index is greater than depths. Incremented depth is 1. Okay, and that's technically, I believe, all we should do. So return incremented depths. Seven. Okay, perfect. So we're getting the right answer. So let's replace what our depths is with this thing, with the read file that I conveniently put before. So all this does is it opens a file that I tell it, which will be day1 input.txt. It'll read it, and then it'll just split it by a new line and return the parsed input. So that should be all we need to do, but we also want each of those values as a number. And how we can do that is I'll just take everything that's a string and turn it into an int. All right, let's try running this. 1557. All right, 1557. Let's bring this over here. All right, we got 1 gold star. Nice. Part 2. This won't be the right answer for everyone, so feel free to like put in your own answer. And I am going to take a few seconds to read this part and we will come back. All right, so it looks like for this part, what we need to do is the same thing, except we have a sliding window of 3 measurement sums. So let me take the first example. Okay, so if this is the example, we expect to get 5 here. So how this is going to work is that we have a sliding window. So we have these 3 numbers. So if the sum of this is greater than the sum of the previous, or the previous sum in general, like this, that means we want to increment this incremented depth. So we're doing it by sliding windows instead. So what we could do, or one of the ways to do this, would just be to have 2 pointers, or just like basically just count 2 ahead of your current index and then sum that and see if that's greater than the sum of the previous, or each later sum is greater than the previous. But technically what we could do is that, so if we have a sliding window of these 3, and we increment it to these 3, these 2 numbers still stay the same. So we just need to check whether this number is greater than this number, if that makes sense, because then it's incremented. We don't actually have to sum it each time because 2 of the numbers are the same already. So one way we could do this is we could just start at index 3, and while the index and then we just basically want to increment this by 1 each time, because the sliding window would be, this is just the second sliding window. So we want to check as we increment this index by 1, so we could start this at 1 or 3, we want to check whether the previous, so this would be, this number would now be -3. Yeah, it's essentially just that, actually. So we expect to get 5. So let's run that. Okay, perfect, we get 5. Let me know in the comments if that explanation makes sense. 1608. Oh, that is... Okay, so let's copy this, go over here. Amazing! All right, we have completed day 1. All right, so that's how we solved day 1 of Advent of Code. Let me know what you thought of, I guess, a video like this in the comments below. And if you'd like to see more, I can continue doing, I know it's after the whole Advent of Code event, but let me know if you want me to keep doing them and if you want to see how I solve them. All right, see you soon, friends.